In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Specialized Turbo Vado SL. The SL stands for super light, and this is a real review from somebody who paid full price for this bike. I'll share with you the things I like, more importantly, the things I don't like, and most importantly, why I think this is the best fitness e-bike for people who are looking to make things perhaps a little bit easier for them, but still want to be active and still want to work on their fitness. Let's get cracking. So before I start talking about this bike's features, I want to tell you who I think this bike's for. So I think this bike is for somebody who can ride a normal bike like this one. This is essentially the non-e-bike version. This is a Specialized Cirrus X, but at the same time, you might want to commute to work without arriving a sweaty mess. Like me, you might have terrains near you that you love riding, but are quite difficult. Certain parts are quite difficult, meaning that it actually kind of puts you off going out a little bit because you know that elements of that ride are gonna just get on your nerves. Or it might be that you want to commute a week on this bike and then have a blast on it as well at weekends. Because this is the Vado SL or super light, it only weighs 15 kilos, which is about 33 pounds. And like many bike carriers, mine has a 20 kilogram bike limit, which means this is well within that limit, and I can easily lift it on top of the car, which is also quite important. And unlike many full fat e-bikes, this bike is incredibly nimble. In fact, with the battery off, it doesn't really feel any different than riding this bike. With some e-bikes, as you get over 15.5 miles an hour, I'm in the UK and that's the speed limit here, you can't really pedal them. You get so much drag from the motor. This motor completely disengages when you go above the speed limit or if you turn it off. And there is no difference really between riding these two bikes. In fact, the only reason why I've kept this bike is to make a couple of videos and then it will be going on eBay very, very soon. As you can see, the motor is here, it's crank driven, and this means it's really well weighted in nearly every circumstance. The Vado SL has a 320 watt hour battery and a 240 watt power motor. You can buy a range extender as well, which fits in the water bottle holder if you want to go on longer journeys. I ride on a mixture of tarmac, country trails, woodland and gravel. That's the vast majority of my riding. And I generally get about 40 to 50 miles out of a full battery. I weigh 175 pounds and my ride is generally made up of 25% nothing, no battery, no motor on at all, 25% on low power, 25% on medium power, and 25% of the time on high power. And because the Vado SL has a torque sensor, which is excellent, Specialized say that it can give you up to 2 times U, which I think is true, maybe a little bit more. So when you have it on low power, it's like you're like 30% more powerful than you would be on a normal bike. On the mid-range, 60%, 66% more powerful than you would be normally. And on full power, you are twice as powerful. And that means that a 10 out of 10 hill, for me, one that I can barely get up, then becomes a 5 out of 10 hill. I'm smiling at the top and I can then enjoy the downhill without feeling like I'm going to pass out. Sorry to interrupt the video, it's a glorious day. And I've just ridden down this very steep hill. I know the camera makes it look flat. On the Vado SL, probably got to about 25 miles an hour. And one thing I'm appreciating is the Vado SL's brakes, because this road was subsequently gone, because at some point in the past, this village here was flooded. And to get to the church from Church Lane now, you're probably going to need a boat. But it is an absolutely idyllic place to stop and have a picnic on my ride. And the reason for interrupting this video is to say that since making it, I've reached out to Specialized and they've accepted me onto their affiliate program. So that means I'll put a link in the description. If you use that link to go to Specialized website to buy a Vado SL or any other Specialized bike, that link also helps support the channel at no extra cost to you, and it's really appreciated. It does help us out as creators. Back to Steve in the past. The Specialized app is also excellent, and within the app you can adjust those power settings. The advantage of a torque sensor as well is it feels very natural. So when you're riding, it looks at how much power you're putting in and then it will just magnify it. And when it comes to hills, this is where this bike really comes into its own, because the route I take quite often, there's 1,000 feet of elevation. So you're doing 1,000 feet of climbing on this route. It's really lovely route, but there's some 3 like 10 out of 10 hills, really difficult hills for me anyway. So if I'm riding with friends and they're on their normal bikes and they're fitter than me, I can just have this kind of average, say on the lower setting, just to keep me in the same realms as they are. If I've got friends who have got full fat e-bikes, then I might have this on the max setting. And although they've got more torque than I have, the max speed in the UK and in Europe is 15.5 miles an hour. So there's not really any difference between us, apart from when I go over 15.5 miles an hour, I don't have any drag on this motor at all. To give you an idea of how that works in practice, I'm going to put some data on the screen in a second. Feel free to pause the video so you can see it properly. On the left, where I'm on the Vado SL, you can see that I spent a lot of my time in zones 3 and 4, which is exactly where I want to be to get the maximum fitness and also enjoy my ride. If you look at the other side, when I'm on the Cirrus X, you can see that I spent a lot of time in zone 4 and 5. And this is not a fun place to be for a long period of time. And you'll understand when I say that when I do this ride on this bike, I'm in bed by 8:45 p.m. And in short, that's basically why the Vado SL is the best fitness e-bike. You will still get a workout on this bike. There are misconceptions out there that if you buy an e-bike, you're not doing any of the work. And I think that's kind of true, because when I've had like full fat e-bikes in the past, I might go on a 2 or 3 hour ride and I'm putting in so little effort that it's almost hardly worth it. And I feel like I then need to do a workout as well to get my fitness in. Where on this bike, the SL, this is just the perfect balance of getting fit, being active, but also taking the edge off the bits that would stop you getting out on your bike in the first place. And there are some parts of this bike that I don't like. And the first one is the name. So this is called the Cirrus X. That's a fantastic name for a bike. This is called the Vado, which I know is Latin for go, but it just sounds like something Darth Vader's Australian mates would call him. It's a terrible name. The other thing I want to talk about is welds. Now, I'm not saying that I could do a better job than this, but come on, I think some of these welds could be a little bit better. Finally, which may be a consideration to some users, the battery is in here and you charge it here. So this does mean that you will need power where you store your bike. So if your use case for wanting an e-bike is similar to mine, I can't recommend this bike enough. I think it's excellent. This isn't a sponsored video, as I mentioned. I paid for this bike myself. There are no links in this video for you to go and buy one. You'll need to get off and find one yourself. There are 12 reasons though, specific reasons why I picked this bike. And if you want to know what they are, then definitely watch this video here. I'll also put another video here as well. And they're the things that I've changed on this bike. Now, it is the perfect bike, but for my riding and where I ride, I wanted to make things slightly different. And in this video, I'll show you what I've done to this bike.